everybody. I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of Board of Education of the Goshen Central School District being held on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025, 6:30 p.m. in the District Administration Building. After the Pledge of Allegiance, let's please take a brief moment of silence to remember Annie Baldwin, a retired teacher aide at GIS, and Claire Kuhn, a retired math teacher, who have both passed away. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, everybody. Tonight, starting with the President's report, I just want to say a quick thank you to all the staff and faculty and the team here at the Goshen Central School District. The board had an opportunity to do our building tour at the beginning of the year, just before this meeting this evening, and a few of us had an opportunity to attend the superintendent conference portion of opening day for all our staff. And really, we left the walkthrough just so pleased with how great our facilities look. We're really looking forward to a great forthcoming year and are just really happy with the hard work that everybody put in. Today, there was a lot of energy and excitement at the start of the superintendent's conference. So a big thank you to Mr. Bon Jovi for really bringing a great light and a positive energy to the team. And it's, I think, a sign of really good things to come. So big thank you to everybody there. And just secondly, good luck to the parents, to the students, to the whole team. It's going to be a great year. So good luck to everybody. All right, our next item, do we have any committee, legislative, or hospital reports this evening? No updates yet. All right, just a quick side note while we're talking about committee reports, policy meeting. Team members, do Wednesdays still work as a good night for policy meetings?
Yes.
Okay, great. Maureen, maybe we'll work together to get a few on the calendar forthcoming. Thank you so much. 5:30. 6.
It's 5. Are we able to do 5 early in it?
We'll coordinate the time. We'll work on that. That'll be good. But yeah, get the Wednesdays back on the calendar. Fantastic. All right, great. And then moving on to our next item, our interim superintendent's report. Mr. Tom Bon Jovi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I say anything, I have to once again thank James McArdle, Adam Van Ewen, and the entire B&G staff. Everything, the work they did throughout the summer on all of our buildings, we saw that on the tour. We're really adding in this building, getting it all emptied out, all the abatement work being done by outside companies, and then getting us all back in, not just us, but the second and third floor of OC's neighbors. It really was an incredible job, and it was a true team effort. So I do want to thank them once again publicly for all their hard work. We had a great opening day today. Before I get to that though, very important, buses. So again, there's no excuse. We can do better, we will do better, but there are still issues with the bus runs. Apparently it was the issue between the two systems talking to each other. This is a little bit of my pay grade, but the TransFinder, what we were putting in, things were getting bumped out. So they are still working on it as of right now. So I asked the parents and guardians to continue to check, their parent square and other messages that they use to make sure that they have the right runs. It is not what we should be doing here at Goshen, and it's not acceptable. It's not to blame anyone. It really was a computer glitch between the systems talking to each other. but our people are working on it, and we'll keep you updated. So if tomorrow morning you are not sure, then contact the bus transportation department. So I apologize ahead of time. I know it's a lot of stress just having the first day of school, and then let alone that not all the bus runs are exactly correct. So today's conference day though was really a great day. It was different. It was a team building activity for all faculty and staff. We included everyone on it. And it really was a team effort. So every member of the administrative team all had an assignment to do. Every member here, every staff member here in central office had a job to do today. And because once the activity begins, it's going. So it really has to be all done well ahead of time. So we thank everyone. It really was a great positive start to the new school year. Just a message to students, just remember students, we want to start off the new year on a positive note as the faculty and staff did today. So get to sleep early tonight. If you haven't done that already, you really need to be in that pattern of getting to sleep earlier. And remember that we're still technically in the last week of the 7C challenge. There's no complaining. That was the last C. No complaining about getting up early, getting to school on time. We look forward, this is what we're all about. We are all here for kids, for students. That's what school is about. That's why this Board of Education volunteers. That's why we are all employed here. It's all for students. So we're gonna make it a great year and really looking forward to the start of the school tomorrow. I did want to update the board and the public about the middle school principal posting. So that posting did go out in August. Again, one of my many sayings, the fastest way to make progress is to go slow. So we are going to be taking our time on this progress. We have an incredible team led by Principal Roy Reese. So you can't do any better than that, having Roy Reese here filling in at the middle school as interim principal. So thank you again to Roy Reese for everything. We're not naming anything else after you though. I'm sorry. Okay? But we appreciate it. It's gonna stay CJ Hooker. But with Roy and Janelle Handel there, it's really gonna be a great year. So the posting goes until September 30th. So our goal is to have a new principal begin by mid-November, once we go through the process. So our goal is to start the interviews. We'll set up the committees well ahead of time. There'll be a representative committee from the middle school of support staff, administrators. And we will get those started hopefully the week of October 6th through 10th. So we can get that first round done the first week and then move on so that by hopefully by the October board meeting, we could have an appointment. And again, depending on who we find, they might have just a 2-week notice, they might have a 30-day notice or longer. So that's why I say the goal is mid-October. It could be earlier, it could be a little later than that. Today at the opening day ceremonies, I did announce that the Mid-Hudson School Study Council Annual Awards for Excellence, they're held here right in Goshen at the Barnaville of Benicia. That's on October 29th, and our award winners are our very own Jim Sterrett for support staff and Dr. Erin Heil for PPS. So these are the awards for excellence. We'll get that information out district-wide, so everyone can attend if who can. And we announced that today. Jim and Erin did not know this was happening, so it was a nice surprise for them. And I had announced on my last week's video, so this Friday is coffee with soup. So not Campbell's soup, the superintendent soup. So this coming Friday, September 5th from 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. I'll be at the Diplomat Cafe on Main Street. Come down, public, please meet me. We'll chat about school. I'll give you an update on the district. You can ask me any questions, share any concerns. You can yell at me. You can tell me I'm doing a great job, a terrible job. That's why I'm here. All communication is good communication. So I'll be there and I look forward to seeing everyone there this Friday. And that's all I have, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bonjovi. Moving on to our next item, our Assistant Superintendent for the Business Report, Ms. Larian Van Lammery.
Thank you and good evening, everybody. Our tax collection period has kicked off and payments can be either mailed at the address on the tax bills or they can be dropped out here in our vestibule. We do have a box for collection. If you have a check, you can drop that in there. And another option is to pay your bills online. There's a link on the bill and there's also a link on our website as well. There's a link for the entire tax collection process on our website. For state aid, we're working on our state aid forms that are due to the state. Our audit has been finalized and the books are now closed, so we should be able to get that information uploaded within the next week or two. Also, I'll be attending a workshop that's given by State Aid Planning through Questar BOCES, and they usually do one in the fall and then they do one in the spring or early spring actually, so it's around budget time so we can make plans. And they're going to be updating us on the 25-26 outlook for state aid and telling us about any changes that were made on the finalized budget by the state, and also going over the financial outlook for New York State, which will lay the groundwork for our next year's budget. For our financial information this month, it's included for the month of July. We have the general fund, the capital fund, the lunch fund, and the federal fund. For the general fund, our expenditures were $3.4 million. And typically we do not receive a lot of revenue in July, but we did get some money in. We received a small amount of general aid, $6.9 thousand for a building project that we sent in a final cost reports for, a very small amount. Our pilots, we received 2 solar pilots. We have South Goshen and Glenmere Lake. They both do their pilots. Donations, that was $29.7 thousand, and that was the playground equipment that we just saw on our tour at Scotchtown. And we received interest of $87,000. And for our general fund budget, total expenses again were $3.4 million for the month of July, which is 3.5% of the total budget, which is in line with where we were at the same time last year. And the total revenue comes to $190,000 or 0.2%, so much lower than our expenditures. And just to update you, I know I said I'd let you know about the lunch fund equipment grant. We did not get that grant awarded to us, unfortunately, but I'll be working with Rod, our food service director, to still work to replace equipment this year and come up with a 5-year plan, because we do have a lot of equipment that needs to be replaced. Hopefully we can do that within the budget in the next few years. That's all I got. Any questions?
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Instruction, Personnel, and Technology Report, Mr. Jason Hart.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Loftus. So on my report this evening, you see discussion regarding the UPK request for proposal. So to start, I thought I would just do our best to refresh everyone's memory about the actual grant allocation, what that equates to per pupil, talk a little bit about our current contract related to expenditures, and get into the RFP. So this year, once again, the allocation is $920,362. That would allow us to place 160 students in the UPK program. The most important piece with that figure is to realize that when you break it down to the per pupil expenditure based on grant monies, you then look at your contract, and therefore if the contract is larger than the per pupil according to the grant, that's an additional expense the district takes, which comes from the general fund. And so currently with the contract that we have for the 54 students that we have placed at Scotchtown Avenue School, the approximate cost here is $364,000, maybe a little more. $310 plus comes from the grant. And so each year, we do get billed every month, but each year at the end of the year, at the end of that 10-month period, the district spends about $54,000 from the general fund. And so if we were to place 160 students, even with the current contract, meaning the current per pupil proposal in the contract, we would be looking at spending approximately $160,000 from. And so I say the current contract because if we put it out to RFP, which we will, and that per pupil comes back slightly higher, much higher, or significantly higher than that 160,000 grows. And so regardless of the number that we place, we know that we're looking for at least 54 to maintain the program. And of course, if we grow the program, then our expenditures from general fund also grow. And so with the RFP that we're working on, I would say that the nuts and bolts of it are completed. We're just looking to fine tune that, just comparing with a couple of other documents to make sure that we have every single thing that we're looking for. And then of course, we'll have it reviewed by our legal team prior to submitting. We're going to look for that contract pricing for the 54 students in-house. And then we're going to look for the 54 students in-house. We're going to look to maximize the number of students that we can place up to 160, which would help us to use the full allocation. And so once we get that, we'll look at what is the best situation for the district, what is the best fiscal pathway, if you will, for the district to take. And that, of course, will be a discussion that we have within our central office team and of course with our Board of Education, so that we're all on the same page moving forward. And so we anticipate that this will be sent out hopefully before the end of September, because we really want to receive all of the proposals by mid-October to then discuss and then to start awarding the RFPs. And so that is the definite goal. Any questions about UPK or the RFP or anything else before we move on?
Just a general question. The maximum amount of pupils that we can get grant money for is how many again?
160, so the 920,362 allows for 160 from the grant. If we were to go beyond 160, we would, that +1, +2, or whatever it may be, we would front the whole for pupil.
So just the other question I have, over the past few years, how has that number changed for our community here in Goshen for the amount of grant funding that's eligible to us? Have we seen an increase, a decrease?
So the first 2 years were relatively similar. We were able to increase to the 54, and then we jumped to the 920, which gave us I think it was 5,400 in year 3, and the last 2 jumped to 57, 52. And so we have seen that increase to 160. And again, that is for a full day program for 40 days.
Thank you.
Great. Just a couple of reminders for our community, especially our parents. So in years past, we used AdVistas for notifications and acknowledgements. And every year, as we approach the beginning of school, it's a very busy time of year with editing documents, uploading documents, and then sending out those documents on our mailing list. And so we were able to once again collaborate with some of our individuals in-house and AdVistas. And you will now see that Chromebook responsibility form coming out tomorrow morning. You'll also see a code of conduct acknowledgement form coming out. And then shortly thereafter, we'll give a little bit of breathing room. The digital resource survey, which is absolutely necessary as per the state of New York, that'll be coming out as well. Okay, so keep your eyes open. Any email that is attached to a student account in School Tool will receive that. It's a one-time fill, but you will get it every morning at about 6 a.m. until you fill it out. And then following that, we'll talk about some other forms that will be coming as well. And then we just wanted to let the board know, and even our community members know, that once again, it's a busy time of year. So the last 2 to 3 weeks were really spent on fine tuning everything for the opening and then taking care of all of the necessary grant applications. And so as of Friday, just for your information, we were able to submit the UPK grant application. We were able to submit the consolidated application for all title grants. We were able to do the staff eval confirmations. And then we did the literacy attestation, which is mandatory and basically requires us to collaborate and look at our literacy program, specifically K-3 in this instance, to be sure that we are in full alignment with all instructional best practices as per the science of reading. And so that's been completed in collaboration with our elementary principals, and we feel quite confident with our programs. And so we acknowledge that we are in compliance with all the pillars of literacy education. And that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Great. Shannon and John. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Regarding new business, are there any individual action items that anybody would like me to pull? Okay, very good. We need a motion to approve the new business. John, Scott. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the interim superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the new business items as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any sign-ups for privilege of the floor?
No.
No, all right, just double checking. Okay, and then our next agenda item. Any open agenda item, board member comments, questions? One thing I did want to bring up with the team tonight, on our last meeting, we talked about our RFP that we issued for search firms for the superintendent position. And I just wanted to bring back to discussion and hear from the team. Last we spoke about, we all were in agreement, yes, we'll still, use a search firm. But then we didn't get into detail about regional, local, national searches, and in our folders on the drive, we have a handful of different RFPs from the firms. If anybody has any thoughts, feedback, ways they're leaning with who they might consider using, let's bring it up and discuss it now.
So obviously I don't have a ton of experience in this, but going through the most glaring thing to me is that BOCES doesn't charge a fee versus, $15,000 to $25,000 for the other ones. The most, some additional charges BOCES does charge for the advertising, which I think is reasonable, but all the other ones do as well. So I was looking forward to anybody had any insight, maybe some of the folks that have been through this before, as to why we wouldn't think about using BOCES. Even Mr. Bon Jovi, if you're, it's not your first rodeo, so.
So I echo your comments, looking at the same thing, looking at the costs related, and then also our last search for the interim. I think that we went to a regional approach and was successful with what we have now with the interim, to be honest, and with the applicants that we had.
The last one came from BOCES, so.
Yes, and with that, BOCES offers a statewide component, they can have a statewide reach. So that would be what I would be looking for, both fiscally, but then we've also had some success with it, and we have a resource in BOCES that it's available to use for free.
Yeah, just chiming in about the cost, I brought up our spreadsheet. And to your point, the highest cost was around 25K and then 15. The range closer to the 20 range, and BOCES, nothing. So I mean, I kind of agree from that standpoint. I don't necessarily have a reason why we wouldn't engage them and use their service.
I would agree, and with our proximity with BOCES too, 'cause like they don't know who we are, so it'd be very easy to engage, and you start looking at those costs. There are other costs that are added on top of those, right? Like the fixed fee of 25,000, like additional things, so. I think that would probably be a good fiscally responsible choice for us.
I agree as well.
I feel like their information was fairly clear. What's your thought on maybe bringing them in? Interview, possibly? Answer any questions we might have before.
Absolutely, I think maybe for them to go with, we should probably have a conversation with, so I would definitely be on board with looking to set something up with BOCES.